Hello and welcome to the third in the series of the Womb Consciousness Awakening. And the third session of the webinar is on my favorite topic, the menstrual moon cycle. Well, even if you look at this picture, it shows us how a woman is deeply connected to her menstrual cycle and how it connects also at an energetic level with the moon. Though it has not been proven in the past, and maybe it'll get proved at some point, but I ask each woman who is listening to this webinar or this series to connect with your own womb cycle, with your own menstrual cycle, and then see if it is true for you. Let's do this one woman at a time. Okay? So, my name is Dr. Evelet Sequeira. I'm a public health specialist, and I'm here to talk about womb wellness. And this is my mission and vision that every woman know her body intimately. So what we're going to cover in this session is what is the menstrual cycle, the female reproductive system, the four phases, menstrual phase, follicular, ovulation, and the luteal phase, and a little bit on the connection to the moon. So what is the menstrual cycle? It is nothing but a series of events that occurs in our body as we prepare for a possible pregnancy, okay? Your first menstrual cycle is the time from the first day of your menstrual period until the first day of your next menstrual period. The very first time that a girl menstruates, that point is known as the time of menarche. That is the first time that she gets her periods. It's normally a 28 to 30-day cycle, but as we go further and, working with a lot of young women, women in the reproductive age group, the cycles have gone haywire. Thanks to our modern living ways and what we eat, the way we are surrounded by artificial light, all of this plays, and the amount of stress that every woman is going through. All of this leads to a shift in the change of the cycles, the number of days. Bleeding usually lasts for women in a range 3 to 7 days. Now, be very wise when you listen to this session. A lot of women tell me, we have seen that bleeding has to be for 5 days. Remember one thing: when it comes to nature, there is no particular or perfect timing. Like it's not 5 days for everybody. It's not 3 days for everybody. It's not 7 days. It is always in a range. And that has to give us an idea of how we as women need to be aware that we have to, give ourselves that kind of range in everything that we do. So we are not going to be full of energy all the time. And especially when you learn about the menstrual cycle, you will notice the different periods of the menstrual cycle, or the different time frames, or the different portions of the cycle. You will have different kinds of energy. And once you learn to plot this, once you learn to understand this in your body, so in the beginning, you will need to plot, you will need to connect with your body more often. Later, it becomes second nature. Okay. So let's go on. So this is the female reproductive system. I've already shared this with you in the first talk of when we were connecting to the womb, the physiological aspect, the physical aspect. So we have the body of the uterus. Let's do like a revision. It's called the fundus of the uterus, the topmost portion. Then on the two sides, you have fallopian tubes. At the end of the fallopian tubes, you have finger-like processes that are called fimbriae. On the two sides of the ovary, on the two sides of the uterus, you have two ovaries on either side. And then moving down in the pear-shaped organ is the mouth of the uterus, which is known as the cervix, and that then opens into the vaginal canal, and that which opens in the external genitalia. See the position of the uterus within the female body. It is in the lower half, below the belly. The size of the uterus is the size of a fist. Okay, when you make a size of your fist, is the size of your uterus. Usually it is anteverted. That means it's bending forwards. Sometimes it is retroverted. Okay, so it all depends on how your uterus is, the position of it in the body. Now let's look at the 4 phases. Let's begin with something that you know, the menstrual phase, where you will see that the endometrium, which is the innermost layer of the uterus, it starts shedding. And that is the blood is coming out through the vaginal canal, and that is what we call as the period blood. From there, it goes on to what is known as the follicular phase, where an egg starts developing or starts maturing in the ovary. Okay, and the endometrium also in turn starts preparing a new layer. So remember, menstrual cycle is something, the whole cycle is for preparing the uterus for a possible pregnancy. Of course, we're not having pregnancies every month happening. So, and but it is good to understand the cycle. And then from there, it goes on to what is known as the ovulation phase. Ovulation is when the endometrium has got really thick. And at the same time, that egg, which was getting, kind of maturing and developing, starts getting released. It is released into out of the ovary. The finger-like processes catch hold of it, and it passes through the fallopian tubes and into the uterus. And we come to what is known as the luteal phase, where the egg is weighted, and if there is a possible union with the sperm, then there will be a pregnancy. If there is no union with the male sperm, then the egg is released out, and after a few days, the whole menstrual cycle begins again. So this is in short, but we'll go through each of the phases in detail. And each of the phases has its own hormonal makeup. It has its own energetic makeup. So get ready to learn and know about this. All right. So I've divided the four phases of the menstrual cycle into seasons. It kind of, puts it into perspective, and it's so beautiful. A number of teachers have done this. And I personally love this metaphor of the seasons while connecting to the different phases of the menstrual cycle. So the first phase is the winter phase. Okay, I'm showing you a very nice winter, maybe somewhere in North America or maybe Canada. Yeah. So this the winter season of your menstrual cycle is the menstrual phase, is when it's bleeding. Okay. So the day 1 of your menstrual cycle is the day you start bleeding. That is the first day. So day 1 to 7, if you bleed for 7 days, day 1 to 5, if you bleed for 5 days. I'm going to shift my face a little higher up. Okay, so that I don't kind of come in the way. So the endometrium, or the inner lining, the blood lining, is shedding. Normal blood loss is about 10 ml to 80 ml, about 2 or 3 cups of blood. It's not like you're bleeding, pots and pots. But if you are, and if you notice that you are changing your tampons or you're changing your pads every 1 or 2 hours, and it's too much of bleeding, heavy bleeding on all the 4 or 5 days, please do see a gynae. There must be something that is not right. Okay. Bleeding is heavy maybe on day 1st. For some, it is heavy on day 2 and day 3. Know your own cycle. You will know it. In the beginning, when your menses begin, usually the blood is about darkish in color because it's the first blood which is coming out. And then by day 2, day 3, it becomes bright red. And as it ends, it gets into being a little dark brownish to black. Yeah. So that is the normal color of the period blood. You can experience abdominal cramps, women, okay? And these are caused by contraction of the uterine and abdominal muscles because it's trying to push out all of that, the blood which is in the uterus is trying to push it out. One of the best ways that I have found to kind of, relieve and get the bleeding out of your body, the blood out of your body, is by doing these belly dance step known as the shimmy. Okay, you can look it up on YouTube. Just shake your lower half of the body, and you will notice that a lot of blood actually, it's like shaking a bottle. So you're shaking your uterus and you're just letting the blood out. A lot of women undergo abdominal cramps. One of the reasons is also for the body being in fight and flight. All your muscles are contracted at all times. So breath work, meditation, and this is your winter phase. And remember what you do in winter. You cuddle up, you cozy up. Your energy is not outgoing there, okay? Now let's look at what are the hormones like. Now we have 2 hormones here which are playing big roles. We have estrogen and progesterone. So during the period, both the hormones are at a very low level. So if you see the orange line, which is estrogen, progesterone is blue, both are at a lower line. Yeah, I'm just going very quickly through this. And if you really want to learn, then there are courses that I'm going to put out, which you can connect with and come and learn more deeply about the cycle. We come then to the spring. Okay, after winter is spring. Now all the flowers are blooming. Okay, now what are we going to see here in spring? This is known as the follicular phase, because in spring, all the seeds that have been dormant are now waking up and the flowers are blooming. So the same thing is happening in the ovaries. Remember one thing, when you were born as a baby, you were born with your uterus and your ovaries. Your ovaries already had about 1 to 2 million eggs from the time you were in your mother's womb. So you were born with these eggs, but they are all in a dormant state. They are not active. Okay, they are like, in Hindi or Marathi, we call it suptavastha. They are like sleeping. But every month, because of the hormonal stimulation, or there is like a signal that goes, few eggs, usually it's one or two eggs, they undergo maturation. They start growing and they turn to form into mature eggs. So egg follicle is developing in one of the ovaries. Could be right, could be left, we don't know. And on day 10 to 14, one of the developing follicles will form a fully mature egg. So many follicles develop, but one will mature fully. Okay. And during this time, as the follicle is maturing and it is growing, what happens is we notice, look at the hormones, the estrogen level starts going up. So the inner lining of the uterus starts growing. Okay, so when estrogen is up, it is a signal again to the inner lining. Okay, there is an egg coming your way. Start getting the bed ready. Okay. We then come from spring to summer. I love the summers, but the summers in India are very hot. I would love a summer which is a little, lighter on the body and the sun is like just right. Yeah, but that's me. Okay. Ovulation phase. This is the summer phase. Okay. Women, let me tell you one thing. When you are in your ovulation phase, you are shining your brightest. When I say brightest, this is on an energetic level. You may be wearing a drab dress to work, but your energy is so pulling. Now, this is the time when the egg, which is about 14 to 21 days, here the estrogen is peaking. Okay, it's going right up. And on the 14th day, approximately the 14th, 12 to 14, 12 to 16th day, the hormone causes the ovary to release that matured egg. And the released egg is swept. It's released and then it is swept by those fimbriae and the fimbrial ends, and the egg goes right inside into the fallopian tube. These are now, the egg then leaves the ovary and begins to travel through the fallopian tubes right into the uterus. Now, if the egg is not fertilized by day 15, okay, now during this period, the egg is waiting there. 24 hours is the life cycle or the life period of this fertilized egg, of this egg, sorry. Now, once this ovum is waiting, this egg is waiting for the sperm to come in those 24 hours and join. If the woman who's undergone an ovulation and she's having unprotected sex, and there is, sperms coming in there, and there is fertilization, that moment is when she gets pregnant. But if not, then by day 15, it is then moving into the uterus. The egg is moving, and these are microscopic eggs, mind you. They're not like big chicken eggs. Okay, and the egg's lifespan is 24 hours. We are now getting into the autumn phase of the cycle. So we did the winter phase, we did the spring phase, and the summer phase. Summer phase is also very good for pitching at your meetings and all of that, because you are in ovulation. The hormonal state will let you speak what you have to speak. Everyone's going to listen to you. Believe me, try this out. So in the autumn phase, what's happening is what is called as the luteal phase. This is from day 21 to 28. Now, the egg has not met with the sperm. And here the endometrium is still grown, waiting for the fertilized egg, not happening. And side by side, in the luteal phase, you notice that the progesterone, which is the next hormone, also starts increasing, or it starts rising. Now, it rises to help to prepare the uterine lining for the pregnancy peaks by day 22. And if the pregnancy doesn't occur, both estrogen and progesterone drop. And when they drop is when the bleeding occurs. Now, this phase has given a lot of slack to our menstrual cycle because this is autumn. Autumn is the time where the leaves are being shed. When the leaves are being shed, what does it mean? It means what is unwanted is it's getting out of your system. But the same way in our bodies too, there's lots of emotions that we have stored in our uterus, in our womb space, in the unconscious, the subconscious space. It all comes up for a dress up. So a lot of women experience what is known as anger, frustration, a lot of irritability, and we blame it on the hormones and we say, oh my God, this is PMSing, or is she PMSing, or is she, being too bitchy and she's so mean and weird and around this, and we've created memes and we've created jokes. But women, this is your autumn phase or the luteal phase of your menstrual cycle. Pay very close attention. Let your energy now be moving inward. Okay. The energy was outward during your spring and summer. Now in the luteal phase, it's getting inward. You're getting to see what is dark within you. Sit with yourself, do journaling, do meditation. If you're a working woman out there, you have to sit in meetings, don't talk during this phase because you are going to get triggered, lady, believe me. So unless, of course, they're very important decisions that you have to make. But unless required, don't indulge. Be more inward. Understand what's coming up for you. Who are the people who are triggering you, especially during this time? That is your shadow side and it is showing up. And can you imagine, women? We are effing doing therapy every month. The body is doing its own therapy for us. If only we pay attention, then you don't have to pay lots of money to therapists and go every month because on its own, a cleanse is happening for you every cycle. But we have to be aware and know that this is what is coming up for us. Yeah. So the hormone levels graph basically what you see is when I told you that the day 1 of the menstrual cycle is your the first day, and in the beginning it's all low, and we also here I've also plotted testosterone, and then when you go towards your follicular phase, the estrogen levels are going up, and then when you're going more towards your ovulation, estrogen is like really high, progesterone a little bit, and then again it comes down and then it peaks again during the luteal phase. The progesterone, estrogen both are peaking, and then they both come and fall down, and that is when the periods begin or the menstrual cycle begins. Now, estrogen is a very happy hormone. Okay, see, it's happy. That's why it's coming around the summer and the spring of your cycle. It makes you feel fun, sunny, cheerful, energetic. It peaks at ovulation. You are this bubbling fountain of life. Progesterone takes you inward. And we can get grumpy, we can get sad, but it's helping us. It's showing us what all sadness is filled inside. It's not bad. Nothing is bad. Happiness is good, sad is bad. No, all is as is. You become just aware of it. And all the unhealed part shows up. All right. Now, this is a very important part. I'm going to put myself a little lower here so that you can see it properly. Yeah. A lot of people, talk about we don't understand women. One day they are this, one day they are that. Now, let's understand what happens to the woman's brain during the menstrual cycle. Yes. So when you have your period and, that is just your menstrual phase, you will notice because of the hormone levels, you have better spatial skills, but you're also very anxious. Okay. And what we will see is there is improved imagination, perception, memory, and social skills that are happening around the follicular phase. So during the period phase, you have better spatial skills, but you're also very anxious because you're bleeding. You want to know, you want to be in the privacy of your own space. Yeah. So all these ads which tell you, that, oh, you can run out and jump, wear your white pants and, go do those meetings and all of it. Hello, during the period. Take your time, be with your body because your brain is actually telling you that you are anxious. Imagine doing a meeting when you're anxious. Yeah. It makes sense, right? That you tune up with how your body and your hormones are working. It helps you, it works with you. So it's like a double energy. Otherwise, you're running against the tide. Then we come to the follicular phase, when the egg is kind of maturing and all of that. You have improved imagination, perception, memory, and social abilities. So if you have any social engagements, you want to go out, you want to pitch ideas, do it around this time. We then come, we come at a time which is known as, the ovulation phase. That is where you have your most sexual desire. Yeah. And if you want to really unite with your partner, if you want a baby, perfect time. If you don't want a baby, please use protection. But your body will be open and receptive to receive all that love, and all your senses will be awakened. Mine, believe me, the intimacy that happens at this time is amazing. The energy is awesome. Then we go on to what is known as your luteal phase. From the ovulation phase, you tend to get calmer. Now, if you're not getting calmer, that's because there is a lot of underlying issues there. So work with it, journal, work with a therapist if you want to, talk to a friend, go out with your friend, have a lunch date or go for a soothing body massage. Do some of these things that will, kind of soothe you. What would you do during the autumn phase when you know that there is impending winter coming ahead? All right. So your moods, this was a beautiful little picture that I picked up from the internet, which says week 1 is the sloth phase when you're menstruating like really, really slow. Week 2 is the dog phase. That is when you are in your spring. Okay. A lot of concentration, social mood stability. You're able to enjoy. Week 3 is what is known as the peacock phase. Okay. More energetic, outgoing, maybe outgoing in the first half and become a little reserved in the second half. And the 4th phase is the cat phase, where your decreased energy, concentration, sleepiness, fatigue. This is your PMSing time. Yeah, more reserved. So menstrual pain and symptoms can happen. Please do some of the home remedies first. And if the pain is really too much, then do visit a gynec. I really won't go into the details of this right now, but common symptoms during menses are headache, abdominal pain, right, in the belly, lower belly, the front, back pain, swollen breasts, okay, very sensitive breasts, okay, and this is a shout out even to men. For you to know that, don't sit and grope women's breast, especially when she's in the PMS time, like during her luteal phase and menstrual phase. The breasts are very, very sensitive. Please be kind to her. And women, when the men are doing that to you, tell them, don't do it. It's hurting me. Nausea can be there. So some of these symptoms are happening all the time during menstrual cycle. Now, plotting your cycle is really important. This is something that I feel will bring a deeper connection for you with the cycle. So pay attention to your cycle and the moon cycle. Find ways to build a sisterhood or be part of women's groups to stay aligned to your feminine space. So this is the session that I had for you on the menstrual cycle. I'm going to do the next session for you, which is going to be about the connection to the moon. And let's see how that goes. Okay. And this is a little, that session will be also interesting. So stay tuned for it. Have a happy period, my dear friends. And I wish you all the best. And you can always reach out to me if you need any more help and understanding around this, your energies. I love you all. My name is Dr. Evelet Sequeira. Take care.